Now I suggest you move back to the baseline, and before we start the whole serve, we need to work a little bit on the backswing or the preparation. A good way to practice backswing is to imagine that your arm is a pendulum and you just swing your arm like this for a while. So from this point to this point, and you swing in a very relaxed motion. And if you remember the exercise that we did before, that also teaches you in a good way how to do the correct backswing. So when you're starting the serve, I suggest you first do the serve in two parts. The first part is just practicing the toss and the backswing. So you end up in this position. And this position is actually what we did in the last step. So from here you already know how to continue. So what you do is you do the first step, you catch the ball, and then serve the ball again. So just practice the serve in two parts for a while. The first part is preparing the racket and getting the racket in the throwing position. And now you throw the racket at the ball. And then the next thing to do is try and connect everything together in one motion. Hi, and welcome to the overhead lesson for tennis beginners. When you see an overhead hit by a good player, you think this is an easy shot. But hitting the ball that's falling down really fast is not an easy task. So don't underestimate the overhead. Just follow the steps in this video and you will learn a good foundation for hitting an effective overhead. The foundation of a good smash is positioning yourself to the ideal place where you need to be to hit the ball. And a good way to practice this is without the racket, just your partner feeding you balls and you try to catch them. So just catch the ball with the left hand and move to the ideal spot where you don't have to bend or lunge to the ball. And the second thing you need to focus on is that you're always sideways when you're catching the ball, so not in a frontal position. And the third thing is that you're balanced when you catch the ball. So you don't want to be like this when you're catching the ball. So moving to the ball, catching with the left hand, sideways and balanced. And just practice this for a while. We are again at the point where you need to decide what kind of an overhead you want to learn. Because if you play only once a week, then learning the correct grip and the sideways preparation and hitting with the pronation and the right time is going to be almost impossible for you. So I suggest you just hold the racket with a forehand grip and tap the ball over when someone tries to lob you. But if you're going to play at least twice a week, and just follow these steps, that will build a good foundation for a good, effective overhead. The first one is the grip, as we mentioned, so a continental grip. The second one is preparation, which needs to be like this. So from a ready position, just turn your body. There is no backswing back down here, like with the serve. So just prepare like this. And the third thing we're going to work on now is just a contact point. So if you put everything together, it looks like this. So a partner feeds you a ball, and then you do a two-part smash. So focus on positioning to the ball like we did before, having the correct grip, the ready position here, and just tap the ball back. Catch and tap the ball back. So from a ready position, turn and catch and tap the ball back. So the last step that you need to work on is actually have a partner feed you balls or play the ball back, and you practice hitting the overhead in the air. And I just want to talk a little bit about the follow-through, which is usually an abbreviated version of the serve follow-through, which usually goes here on the left side of the body. But when you hit an overhead follow-through, usually happens automatically here because you need to be ready for the next shot. And one tip here is that you don't aim in the service box when you're hitting an overhead, because then usually the elbow leads first. You're hitting really down and there are too many balls ending up in the net. So try and aim deeper over the service line and focus on racket head going down first and then the arm follows. So we call this that the racket is leading and then the arm is following, or something like this. So the racket goes down first and the arm follows. When you play an overhead for a while, you will start feeling that this is the shot that you can hit the hardest. But don't start learning with that mindset. So don't focus first on power and speed. Focus first on placement and control and learning the correct technique. So hitting in the correct contact point and racket going down first and finding the ball with your feet first. And that way you will develop a good fluid motion, and then adding power to this motion will be an effortless process. So thank you. Hi and welcome to the volley lesson for tennis beginners. Volley is a technically very simple stroke, but playing a volley has its challenges. And the main one is that you're positioned closer to the net and closer to your opponent. So that means you have less time to react and move to the ball. And the second main thing is that when you're closer to the net, you have much better angles to play away from your opponent. But that also means that there is a shorter distance from where you hit the ball to where you want the ball to land. So that means you cannot really hit the ball fast. You need to play with control and placement. So before we go into any technical details, let's first learn how to move to the ball and how to approach playing a volley. The best way to learn how to move at the net is to play a catching game. Position yourself halfway between the service line and the net and have a partner play the ball to you, and you just catch the ball with both hands and throw the ball back. What's important here is that you're in a ready position, probably a little lower than you're at the baseline, and keep moving and try and catch the ball with both hands. You can also experiment and try and catch the ball with one hand, which will improve your hand-eye coordination, and just react and move quickly to the ball. And that way you will also eliminate any backswings here, because you don't swing here to catch the ball. Your hands are in front of you and you catch the ball, and later when you play a volley, it's going to be very similar. The next thing you need to do is to actually play with the racket. And you're going to play in a similar way as you did before. So before you were catching the ball, and now you have hold the racket in your hand and pretend you're going to catch the ball on the strings and play short. And I suggest that you hold the racket a little bit higher here and with a continental grip. So continental grip looks like this. It's also called a hammer grip, where you hold the racket from the top. You imagine you would hit the ball down or hit a nail with a hammer. And so just hold the racket here with the continental grip and then play a similar game. So pretend you're going to catch the ball on the strings and play very short. Just bump the ball short in mini court. And again, you already know the ready position from the forehand and backhand. So always assume the ready position and keep moving, and then just block the ball, bump the ball slowly on the other side. Important thing here is that you don't play the ball down, but open the racket face and play the ball slightly upwards. So something like this. So the ball goes a little bit upwards. Don't think about technique. Just try and feel and play the ball upwards and very short.